The Knoxy and Kax Show with Liz Knox and Karell Emard. Let's get it.
Welcome back to the Knoxy and Kax Show on SDPN in partnership with the PWHPA. This is the episode you've all been asking for. And even though I had to butcher my high school French education to ask our guest on, it was well worth my embarrassment. She needs no introduction, but we're going to give one anyways. Four-time Olympian, only athlete to score in all 4 gold medal games at the Olympics, 2-time world champion, representing Team Harvey's Montreal of the PWHPA, graduate of psychology from Boston University, which makes total sense because her hands are insane. Captain Clutch, Marie-Philip Poulin. Thank you so much for coming on, Pooh.
Thanks for having me.
This might have been the best intro yet.
Well, like I said, after I embarrassed myself with my French, I was like, okay, I got to try to do this, to try to redeem myself here a little bit.
Yeah.
Google Translate did pretty good. 10
out of 10 was Google Translate. But I even translated it back to make sure that it like translated back to English.
That's
so
smart.
Double
That's
checking.
Well done.
I learned that one in university too.
Arrow, right? That's
arrow. You ever use that for interviews and stuff? Like, I'm sure you get asked a lot of email questions and you're like, I don't want to answer this entire thing in English. You must use it, right? A little bit.
I have a lot of help too. So yeah.
You got good friends.
Good. Mm-hmm. Good support system. Love it.
So let's get into the episode a little bit. Before we talk about your career, we're going to ask you some fun questions sprinkled throughout the episode.
Okay.
So the first one, if you had to go on one of the following shows, which would you choose and why? Survivor, Top Chef, or Big Brother?
Oh, well, I love food, so Top Chef would be pretty awesome. But to be honest, Survivor would be something pretty awesome to do. I feel like, you're kind of love like those situations where you have to like get out of something or like in nature too. So it'd be a tough decision between these two.
A little level of compete or competitiveness in there.
Mm-hmm.
I see it.
Yeah.
Imagine going on an island for Survivor and then Marie-Philip Poulin steps on the island like, well, I'll just take the next ship home. Thanks. How are you going to compete with that?
Yeah.
I love that. Kax, what would you choose?
Probably like I wouldn't do well at Top Chef. That's for sure. I don't think I would do well in pressure, cooking under pressure there. I don't know, Big Brother or Survivor. Probably Survivor. I think I could build things and do pretty well. On that.
That would be good for sure. Survivor.
Yeah, I think I'd figure it out. Yeah.
She's resourceful.
A little bit.
She'd be whittling little knives and stuff.
What about you?
Oh, I'd say Big Brother. And I'd like to believe I'd be good at Big Brother because I'm like, oh, like I'll just make friends with everybody. And then that would probably get me kicked off in the first week. So that's just how it is.
Okay. Honest answer.
So
I like it.
While everyone's here, I guess let's get into talking a little bit about your hockey career. You grew up playing with the boys, right? And you played midget AAA. Actually, most recently, you're offered an ECHL contract. After the Olympics, but you turned it down, as you know, we all kind of thought you would, and invited them to invest in the women's game. So just talk us through a little bit what it was like growing up with the boys and what kind of why you made that decision at the time.
Yeah, like I come from a small town, Beauceville, and obviously girls hockey was not very available for any of the girls. And I was pretty much the only one back then. And obviously, I have an older brother who played hockey as well. So I kind of followed his footsteps. And obviously, my parents saw how much I love hockey. They gave me the opportunity to try. And that's something I'm so thankful for. Like having them being okay with me being the only one playing hockey, that it would be hard in the rink. They would always have to go see the guy in the ring, make sure there was an empty room somewhere after the games. They would make sure there would be a room and they would always be by the door to make sure nobody would be in there. So make sure I could shower. And those are all those things, obviously at that time, you don't realize how big it is, but moly, I can't imagine how much time they spent in the ring just to make sure I was safe and I was okay. And to be honest, I was very lucky in my career with guys, how the guys were like, that's something I'm very thankful because you hear stories with girls playing with guys and it's saddening. It's crazy. And I can't believe that would have happened. But the one thing is coaches, I would make sure I was one of them. I was their sister, and they would take care of me, and I felt it through it all. Like on the ice, I would get hit, and I would see the guys come in, like 4 or 5 guys right away, like, taking care of me. And that's something I'm so thankful for. And obviously I played until the age of 15 and had to make a decision. I knew I couldn't like kind of keep up with them. They were bigger, they were faster, and that's okay. And that moment, like I felt like, I remember at the start of the school year, I went to 3 different schools in both because I had no idea what I was going to play. I was either going to play, just practice with some big boys, didn't play any games, or play with the older girls in Quebec City, or actually made that decision to go to Montreal, go to an English school, play in the, it was a CWHL back then.
Yeah, the Stars back then. Yeah.
Out of Montreal, and obviously I was the young one there, but I play with these ladies that really helped me through it all, and that's something I'm so thankful for. And obviously my path kind of changed in that sense. And talking about the contract at the ECHL, obviously when that happened, I kind of didn't know because I was not on social media really, Twitter or Facebook in the Olympics. And I remember Emily kind of sent me a text and, did you see that? I'm like, oh wow, I did not expect that at all. And in my head, that did not make sense at all. What's the point of having one girl playing in men's hockey when what we're trying to do for the last how many years, guys? Building a league for all of us to be in one place and like making a living and make sure we're taken care of. And at that point, obviously, like we just obviously declined politely and just made them invited to promote women's hockey and invest in us and believe in us, and instead of having that one moment where they talk about women's hockey and then
I love that. We're gonna get back to that for sure later on in the episode, and I wanna backtrack a couple maybe 2-3 things you said. So you just
talk too much.
No, that was perfect. This is exactly where we want to go. So you decided to make the move, right, from Beauceville to Montreal. So you're about 15, 16 years old at the time, and then so goodbye, mom and dad and brother. I'm out. I get into a city and I go to an English high school. For those of you who doesn't know or don't know, Beauceville is ultra French to the max. Did you even you barely spoke English, right, at the time?
Yes, no, toaster.
Yeah, okay. I love it. Love it. That's about it. No toaster. So can you just walk us through a little bit of that decision and who was there to help you out through maybe those years as well too? Because I think that's a very stressful decision to just remove yourself from anything you knew to, join the Stars, which is a lot of older people in that team, and make sure your development was good in the hockey world as well too. So yeah,
there are so many people. I have a list of people. I remember being in Beauceville on my computer, and my mom was making food, and she was just saying, "Are you sure? Is that what you want?" And to be honest, I remember being on the phone with Lisa Marie Breton, where she was the captain of the Stars, and she was just saying their setup and what they could offer and what they would. And I was like, "Okay, that sounds awesome." And then Amy Doyle, I was on the phone with her talking. She was talking to me about the Cooper Academy where I went to high school, and explaining the stuff where Britt Privé was there. She was one of the teachers. She was also playing for the Star de Montréal, and obviously that driving part would be covered in terms of me going with Britt at every practice. She was driving me everywhere. So all of it would start kind of make sense in my head. I was like, okay, and then living situation, Lauriane Rougeau, I was able to live at her place for 2 years. They were my beloved family. It was unbelievable. They were so helpful, and obviously I had the chance to play with Lauriane. So that was awesome. So all of it kind of came together, and the next day, my mom took the day off, and she literally put my suitcase and all my stuff in the car, and we drove the two of us into Montreal. And obviously, as we got closer, okay,
the nerves,
it's
emotional. Tears are coming out.
For a mom, it's oh boy, I'm losing my baby. I've been there, and she's helped me through it all. And obviously, when we got there, at the school, it's a private, so uniform. So that's a new thing now. I'm a little scared of the blazer. Whoa, that is different. Obviously, that type of girls, you know. I really enjoyed it because every morning, you know what, it was all ready to go, and no thinking about what you were going to wear. And anyway, when I got there, obviously everything's in English. Hi, how are you? Excited to have you here. Yes, you?
Toaster?
Yeah. So all of it was like, oh boy, okay, like, and then you start meeting other teachers and like the environment, and you can't even have a conversation. Like they literally look at you, they're so excited to talk to you, but it's like you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I remember having that first conversation with Brett, and she was like I saw in her eyes, like super excited, but like, okay, we're gonna have work here, you know? It's like it's gonna be a process. But all these people really helped me going to Montreal, make it happen. And then obviously having so many like of the older players on the team helped me getting to the rink during the weekend and all of it together. To be honest, I'm so thankful for all of them, like the Kim St. Pierre, the Kelly Sudia, Liz, Brett. Those are girls that I don't know what I've done without them.
Yeah. They made you feel comfortable and kind of like be okay with this decision and everything. That's amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So you're going to obviously Cooper Academy. You're playing for, how long did you go to Cooper? 2 years or 1 year?
1 year and then Dawson for one.
Okay. So you made the call. So in Quebec, we do CEGEP before we go to university. So you made the call to go to the Dawson Blues. Great CEGEP. I went there too. Love it.
I didn't tell you about Dawson, Knoxy, because you know what? You know, people ask me who helped me like start to play hockey, who were my idols. But let me tell you, back when I was 11, 12, there was a summer team called Ice Storm. Okay.
Okay.
Like, Dumais, Lorian Rougeau. Like we all played together. Like we were pretty good. Okay.
They were sick.
There was an older team. Okay. Where Kax was playing, Catherine Ward was playing, Ansa Fibrete was playing, Manu Blais was playing.
Mm-hmm.
Holy moly. Those were the girls, you know, and I remember like we were playing the same tournament in Boston and they were playing after me. Okay. And I literally, all the girls would be like going to the restaurant. And I would literally make sure we would stay at the game to watch them. And my parents, I would tell my mom, I want to watch these girls, like literally. And they're like, really? Like, yeah.
Who would have thought that?
And
who would come on the show and say that she watched Kax, looked up to Kax?
The first time we got to get closer, and now it's like they're all my best friends, like the Warren, the Kax, like, you know, and I still play with them. The menu, it's like just crazy how worlds work. It's great. Those are little moments that we don't talk obviously as often, but that makes a big difference.
Absolutely. And like you say, like this is, you're now immersing yourself in a culture of women's hockey that like you haven't had before. So it probably was a really cool experience to be like, holy shit, like look at all these fantastic athletes and they're all women. Like that's when we talk about visibility, like this is the kid it matters to. Like the you know, you grow up in a small town and you only played boys hockey and then boom, you make a really hard decision. And now you have like idols, role models that you can like look across the room at or, you know, watch their game. And like, that really does, it makes a difference in like your dreams, right? Like, I feel like that's part of our whole messaging as the PWHPA. It's just like, give these girls something to look at, like give them something to dream for.
Yep.
So you went to, tell us a little bit then about your decision and like how kind of what was happening in your life when you decided to go to Boston University, because I was joking before, like I was living in my parents' basement and like basically calling coaches, begging them, please give me a spot, which is kind of the same story as you, but you tell your story.
Very similar.
Well, obviously, like my situation was a little different. Like it happened very quick. It was very late because I was I was centralized in Calgary. It was during the Olympic year. It was 2009, 2010. I was trying to make my first Olympic year, and obviously very stressful time. And I didn't know where I was going to go Olympic year. So throughout that year, you get phone calls. And obviously, I'm not the best picker at phones.
No way.
So I would get chirped a lot at this moment. I would not pick up the phone really to talk to coaches. Obviously, it was hard on them, on me as well. But I knew I was really focused on the Olympic year at that moment, making the team. And obviously after the Olympic happened, I was like, okay, what's next? Where am I going now? It's like, you know, it's March and we have to start in August, you know?
She waited that long.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I made
those poor coaches.
Yeah. March, April, I went to North Dakota, Wisconsin, and BU. And I know BU, Catherine Moore was going. So I went with Catherine at that moment to go visit. And obviously it was between Wisco BU, and I don't know, BU was like a little bit smaller, closer to home, and obviously it was unbelievable school, but I know I felt a little bit closer to BU at that moment, and decided to go there. I was lucky enough to go with Wardo for the first year, kind of go with her there, and I was very happy with my decision. So obviously, like end of April, May, that's when I literally committed.
BD, good on him. We're gonna give him some love too.
Yeah, I'm really thankful. That's for sure.
Yeah, that staff waited and were patient. I mean, honestly, I think anyone and everyone would have been patient, and they understood your situation too.
I was going to say, there's like 3 or 4, like there's a Wisconsin jersey with a 29 on it, and there's a Northeastern jersey with they just all ordered one. They're like, listen, worst case scenario, we just pitch this. She doesn't come here, but we have to have it ready.
Oh God.
And you mentioned Catherine Ward a couple times now. Like, for those of us that like got to play with her, an incredible athlete, like probably the best, defenseman I ever had play in front of me. She's fantastic, but as you're alluding to, like an even better person off the ice. So she's actually, funny enough, I was talking to Enzo the other day. I was like, somebody I think of often that like I haven't talked to in probably 10 years, Wardo. So Wardo, if you're listening, we all miss you, and we're thankful that you
get back into the life.
Come back to us. So then you're at BU, and like this is the thing, like with centralization, right? Like every 4 years, these athletes uproot wherever they are, and they live in Calgary. Like, just leave all your things, all the friendships, everything that you have, just leave them there for 6 months, and you're just going to live here. So happens again. You're for the 2014, right?
Yeah.
For Sochi. So just talk us through kind of maybe just encompass like your time at BU. Obviously you made the right decision. You loved your time there, kind of talk us through the culture, and then again, having to uproot in your junior year.
Yeah. Like obviously like the first year, the girls, of the girls, but like you don't know them as well. So obviously that first year you get to know these girls, and lucky enough, my roommate Louise Warren, like she was just a riot. I love her so much. Like she's so funny, and she really we really connected right away. And obviously I remember like texting each other before going to BU, like you're going to BU, right? You like, are we going to be a roommate? And like, sure, let's do it. And we never met. We never really talked. So obviously you get there, it's like you look around, like who's Lou, who's Louise, it's like, and then we're like lucky enough to be a roommate. And
Lou and Pooh, love it.
Lou and Pooh.
Yeah. And then one of the senior, like Holly Lorms, was what, like the three of us reconnected. We're like really good friends, and still to this day. And obviously that really helped.
Yeah,
at play, we really got together, and we had a lot of fun. Like my first year, we were in the final of the Frozen Four. Never thought, like, it's all thing. We had a pretty good team. Like we had the Watchorn, Wakefield, Quinn, Chuck, Wargo. Like that was pretty awesome for a first year of college. So, but like the next 3 years, like you go to school, you really learn how to study. To be honest, because the first year, like you're all over the place. You don't really go to class. Like you decide to do other stuff, but then realize that, okay, you got to have a GPA. You got to make sure you go to study hall, and like all of these things, you kind of, okay, it's a little bit more strict than you think, you can't do it all just that easily. And then you kind of learn that routine. You're a little bit more disciplined, but I think having that balance, I think student athlete is so amazing. He amazes me every time. Even like now watching March Madness, you see these Mormons, you see these guys going and like playing in front of fans, and then you're able to get a diploma out of it. It's just like, it's like the best setup of all, to be honest. And I was very lucky to be in BU, and my parents came a couple of times, and I don't know, and Kax came a couple of times to visit us. And, it's just great. It's obviously we all went to school, we all went to university, and when you get to play hockey with your friends, and you get to represent, like, to be honest, one thing that really impressed me is, NCAA, how people are so big in their school. They're so like cheerful, like, I'm a terrier, like I am you, I bleed red. And I'm like, whoa, okay, like awesome, that's exciting. But like, what is this? And then, okay, first year in, yep, I'm a proud terrier. And like, second year, third year, fourth, it's like, you know what? I bleed red. I'm the one telling you I bleed red. Like, but that culture, that cult, it's quite amazing. You you cheer for your like even SLU, and like you go like you're so excited to talk about it. And that's something that I didn't think was going to be that big in my opinion, but it really made a big difference. That's quite awesome.
That's awesome.
You build like a real sense of like community. It's like but it's like different because it's like its own little bubble.
Yeah.
Like while you're there, you're just in like a different universe. Like,
and even when you get out of it, you're just like you meet a SLU person or you meet a BU person and they're so excited. They've never met you. They don't even know who you are, but just the fact that you graduated from that place, like the pride that's attached to those schools is you're right. It's quite impressive. And it's something that I didn't know either till, you come back from the NCAA. I'm sure it's similar on the Canadian side.
Oh
like
yeah.
Knoxy,
Golden
right?
Hawk for life. Honestly, every time I meet a Golden Hawk, like I feel like I just want to break out into our like cheers that we used to do playing beer pong and like just see how old I am. They're like, oh, they don't sing that anymore. No,
yeah, they didn't do that.
That was 12 years ago. It's fine.
So Pooh, I just want to allude to one part of like your career too at BU, like so you worked through it all, like your first 2 years the first year was amazing. And then you had a couple injuries and then relentless, like obviously came back from it and then got centralized again. How was I think, was it your first, your second or third year that was like pretty, like you didn't play much because of injuries and you had to come back from it and everything? Like get us through like that part of it too, and how that either affected you or how you were able to help your team at that point too and keep going with BU and the Terrier basically.
Obviously like that first year was quite amazing. Like I mentioned, like everything went so well in the final, and obviously you're excited to get back at it. Like you go back home for the summer and then you come back, and I remember the second game of the year, like I kind of fell into the board and I ruptured my spleen, and like my parents were in the stands, and I remember just get up, and I could barely like get off the ice, and I just lay down, and I was off a stretcher, took the ambulance to the hospital, and at that moment my English was okay, but not amazing. So a spleen to me, I have no idea what that was.
Where is that?
Can you tell me what is broken and where, please?
Your spleen, like I think you ruptured your spleen because they were like pressing my stomach. Like it's very painful. So, and my parents are there. Like obviously they don't speak English. And like at that moment, my patient is not that high. What's happening, Maggie? Like, are you okay? And I'm like, Danny, I do not know right now. Okay, I'm just in the hospital. Okay, so I'll meet you there. So anyway, we go there, and luckily, like there was a doctor that spoke French and was able to explain to my parents. But I remember Lou was texting me like, "Are you okay? What's happening?" I was like, "I think I broke my spine." And she was like obviously,
what is that?
Like, okay, that. And I remember like talking to her after. She's like, what the hell did you do? Like broke my spine. It's like, I didn't know how to spell it. I didn't know what it was. So I was like, oh boy. Anyway, I ruptured my spleen, and I was like 2 months or 3 months out because it was a little bit dangerous. I was 4 days at the hospital. It was a little bit of a scary moment.
Scary one, yeah.
My parents were there, like when you see your mom and your dad a little bit cry on the side there. It's like, oh boy, it's a little bit more dangerous than I thought at that moment. And you start Googling. It's like, okay, then don't Google.
Don't Google.
Never do that.
Just translate. Yeah, that's fine.
That was a tough moment because like a spleen, like obviously you can't really do anything. It's literally just time. You just sit there
and
you're
so patient, doing nothing. Right?
Yeah, if it's a hand or anything, it's like, okay, you feel more strain at some point, but it just like x-rays, you see it's getting better. Anyway, I was able to come back after Christmas, and obviously like I was so out of breath and like the timing was off. Like, but this first game or second game, I'm back. I really toe picked into the boards and I separated my shoulder.
Oh my God. I forgot about that.
And like, okay, awesome. And I was so mad. Like, I literally came back with it. And that was the second game my parents were there. It's like, okay,
jeez,
bad luck. Anyway, no, but yeah.
Oh my God. How infuriated were you? Like,
very much.
Yeah.
Second back. So that's a couple weeks too, again? Probably.
Yeah, so I literally just played a couple games at the end of the season and the playoffs, and that's it. And at that moment, I was literally thinking to maybe redshirt because I literally miss
Yeah, like the entire season, basically.
But I think it was too late. It happened a little bit too late. But that year was very hard, like mentally, physically, obviously. But for me, it's like knowing that I did my work at school. I know I'm going to get to practice. So not having that was a little bit hard. But it builds you. It makes you be a little bit more vulnerable to ask for help. And I think that year I kind of helped through all of that. And then last year I went healthy and smoothly.
That's awesome. I love that. The growth of like being okay with like asking for help. Sometimes we're just so proud and we just I don't need anyone type of thing. And
100%.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, what if I show too much vulnerability? Like, what are they going to think? But I think it's like, usually when you show vulnerability, that's like, basically you're going to end up with something that you want or need at times, like versus someone trying to guess what you need. So no, that's amazing. And then following year, you played the full season and then got centralized, right? Or that was just, okay. Wow. Yeah. So you came back from these 2 injuries and just straight into that. That's okay. I was trying to figure
I honestly can't even wrap my head around that. Like, I think most people honestly probably would have just stopped playing hockey. Like, you get 2 massive injuries like that, take away your whole season. Like, I would just be like, all right, well, just wasn't meant to be a hockey player. But honestly, good for you. Cause that's a lot to come back from. And obviously it speaks to the support system that you had, not only at home, but at BU. Like, yeah. I mean, you're also probably the toughest mentally tough athlete, in the world. So, it didn't come from nowhere. Captain Clutch, scored the biggest goals in women's hockey history. You don't just get there from coasting through practice. You got to rupture some spleens.
With that being said, too, before we go, it shows character, Pooh. I will say that. I think that's what she's trying to say.
That's exactly what I said. No,
yeah. So with that being said, so you just went 4 years ago. You went to Vancouver. Now you're getting centralized for Sochi. How was the whole journey to Sochi, knowing what you knew now, like, being your first year or your first time around, like the pressure and what you were dealing with for Vancouver. Now you're in the second round of it all. Like, was it a bit different? And that team still had like the Ouellet, the Hefford, all of them, right? Still. Yeah. So yeah, like talk to us about that team too. Yeah. And that. Yeah.
Well, obviously Vancouver was like my first time, like, my role was different. I knew I was like not playing that much, to be honest. Like I was on the fourth line and I knew that. And at that moment I was just enjoying it. Holy moly. I'm at the Olympics and I still enjoyed it in 2014, but I knew like as an athlete, you always want more. You want to prove yourself. You make sure you're there. And obviously the coaching staff changed and you have Kevin Denny that came in after Christmas and
that's right.
Leadership group change, like Karell was captain, and all of it kind of came together very quick after Christmas. But approaching it, I feel like it was just, again, taking it in, enjoying the moment. So like I was playing with Effie and Karell, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but anyway, I was playing with pretty good player at that moment. And, I knew I had to like deliver and like play well, like in a sense at that moment. But the whole year was always exciting. I was, to be honest, every centralization year for me, it's so fun. It's so fun. It's like you get to play every day. It's like you make that of a living. It's so much fun. And Sochi, I mean, it was a fairy tale the way it ended. Like there's no better way to say that. I didn't think ever like, even going from Vancouver, like, I'm lucky. I get 2 goals in that first period. And I'm like, okay.
I'm lucky. I'm
lucky. Very much so. And then it's 2014, like you think about it, it's like, imagine what if, like, it's like, but, and like, literally I would be like, there's no way, like, there's no way to ever again. And lucky enough that happened. And it's like, after the game, I remember like looking at my parents and like literally like crying. It's like, how the hell did that happen? It's like, and call my brother, like, it was just like kind of surreal. But obviously having these leaders there, like when you have Karell, Heffy, and the Wick and the Absy, like sitting in a dressing room going into overtime and you see them calm and so composed and just you know what, when one of the rookie on that team, it makes it easy to just follow and just be yourself. And I think it really showed at that moment in 2014. That's for sure.
That's amazing. And I was going to ask you this a little later, but it just fits too perfectly into the conversation we're having right now. Like for a lot of players, myself included, it was the moment when I was like in a locker room with a maple leaf on my practice jersey, sitting across from you, Pooh, where I was like, okay, this is like a real moment, like you were a player that I looked at and I was like, holy shit. Like, I can't believe like I could be on this team. Right. Did you have a player either in 2010 or 2014 or prior that like you had like a moment where you're like, I can't believe like I'm sitting across from so-and-so?
I avoid lots of them. Like it was like, because 2002 was really like when I was literally watching on the TV, watching these ladies like winning that gold medal, where it's like, on the blue line, you see Cassie Gamble, like those eyes, like crying, have so much pride. And it's like, wow. And I remember my first camp, like literally going to these girls in like, I don't know, 2007, and you see the Vicky Sonorara and like Cassie and Heffy and Karell. It's like, okay, and that's awesome. But then 2010, 2014, we literally wear the same jerseys. I have like Heffy, Absi, Karell, Wick, and like Keller. Like those are all like Kim, Chart. Like, it's like, you know them as hockey players, and you get to play with them and you get to know them on a different level. And it's like, holy shit, like they're a great hockey player, but like these ladies like behind the helmet and the person they are, it's like even better. And that's something that really stuck with me since 2010, and how they don't take anything for granted. Like you see the Heffy, the Karell, they've won gold. They've been there before, and they still show up to the rink with like, the best work ethic and a smile on their face, and they love being there. And that's something that I just stuck with me since that first day. And like, obviously Karell for us in Quebec, like in Canada, but like getting to know her, getting to play with her, and like remember meeting her in the gym for the first time, and I was just like, my jaw dropped, and she was so strong, and it was like crazy, and she was such a great hockey player. And now I get to know her, and then now like Karell, Kim, Charlie, for me, those are the three that really took me under their wings. They helped me who I am today, for sure.
That's amazing.
2 or 3 goalies, good people,
Yeah, which is weird. Yeah.
And Knoxy, there's just that, like the first time that she was training with Wellet and stuff, I'm pretty sure the coach put them together with the same weights. So they had to, like, baby Pooh is just like squatting as much. I was like, holy, this person's going to be unbelievable.
And Karell, same. Like, I remember the first time I was at camp with her, and she was just like exactly as you're saying, just like so calm, such a like a poised, confident leader, but also like was willing to like have a side conversation with me and just be like, hey, like, how are you doing? Like, it's your first camp, like this is the kind of like role model that you want in the program. Like, this is how you want to feel when you're a young, nervous kid and you're just like, I'm trying not to shit myself or like let in 12 goals. And then, you get Carolyn Willett who comes up to you, or like Sammy Joe came up to me in one of my first camps. It's like they're there for a reason, and it's not just that they're incredible hockey players. And I think it's safe to say that you're filling those shoes nicely, Pooh. So maybe we'll stick with the Olympics. We can go to the most recent, but I'm gonna toss in another fun question because I can. It's our show, so why not? Let's see. If if you had to eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Maple fondue.
I told you.
Fondue. Okay. Well,
yeah,
I would like to learn more about this.
A meat fondue and then a maple fondue.
Like dessert type of thing, you mean? Or okay.
And I learned prior to you coming on that maple syrup is like a thing for you.
Oh, I love it.
That's not a thing. It's an obsession, I think.
It's a good obsession, though. It's not too bad.
So that was like a quick answer too, just so you know, there's no hesitation. Maple fondue.
I didn't prompt her on it. So that's authentic. So Captain Clutch loves maple syrup, which is probably the most Canadian thing you're going to hear today. If you could own like a sugar farm, like a
shack,
maple syrup farm, sugar shack, Would you do that?
I would love that. Like I've told my dad I would like to buy one with him, but he doesn't want to do all the work because I do that.
he knows he's going to be the one having to run it.
Oh my gosh.
Eventually, in my wildest dream.
Wow. Well, you know what?
I like it.
There's a great family, the Carrick family out in Stouffville that I might have a connection with. So we'll see if we can get you some Carrick Brothers maple syrup, authentic from Uxbridge. Let's jump back. Let's stick with the Olympics. Talk us through. We've had a few guests on. Obviously, a very special team this year. You played a big role in that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your team?
Very, very special, like you mentioned. To be honest. Obviously, 2018, that was, I think, one of the hardest moments, not only for me personally, but I think as a group, I think it was a tough one. So I think the work that's been done for the last 4 years really showed. It was a 4-year process where obviously COVID happened. The World Championship 2019, we won bronze. So all of it was very eye-opener for a lot of us. Like, what do we need to do differently? What do we need to change? And I think it's just started right away from Gina coming in, having that leadership from bottom up to top to bottom.
Top to bottom.
Top down. Yeah, top down.
Google Translate.
Bottoms up, but top down. Yeah.
Arrow. Yeah. I think it was so connected, and I think it started with Gina and our coaching staff and all the girls together. And we had a lot of Zoom calls during the pandemic where some of them was led by the leadership group. Some of them was led by Troy and by Gina, and all of it, we were so connected. And right away, the girls wanted to be there and wanted to learn, wanted to make sure they were ready to go. And something I'm so proud of this group is how much work has been done on their own time, in their own time at their house during the last 2 years. Taking the time to find a place in their house, in the basement, in the kitchen, any way possible to get a workout in. All these Zoom calls, all the hard work on the journal and anything possible, people were just dialed in and you felt it. Even if we didn't talk every day, but they were ready to go when camp happened. And when centralization happened, obviously it was a big process. But the group that we had there, obviously there was some tough cut that happened, and that's part of the process, sadly, but they were part of our team. They really built us up from the World Championship in August to the Olympics. And after Christmas, obviously the team was named, but it was just so fun. It was really a fun process. We know it's a hard process through it all.
Yeah.
You have to show the ring. Sometimes you're tired, you're exhausted, but really, it just really connected at the right time throughout the whole year. And obviously, the Olympic, we saw it. We were our smile were from ears to ears from the game number 1 to the last game, and even in hard situation and pressure situation, that we still had smile. We still make it fun, and I think it's hard to put into words, but being able to be rewarded with that gold medal, it was just the cherry on top. That's for sure.
That's amazing. That's something also, even the media was saying too, how calm but happy or smiling and enjoying it the whole time. Every time you guys from Worlds on, basically, it was this team looks like they're having fun together. They look like they want to be beside each other the whole time. And honestly, I think it gave you guys an edge over any other team. You will do anything and everything for the person sitting beside you, truly. And that makes a difference. And your whole concept of doing it your way, right? I think spoke volume to why this team was so successful too.
Sure. And I feel like the time we get to Hockey Canada, and it's funny because we're talking about it, and you get a T-shirt with something on it, a slogan or something.
A slogan, yeah.
You never talked about it, and you have to follow it. You have all of a sudden you have to believe in it, and you have to find some meaning to it as a group. In this sense, we as a group came together. We had a lot of Zoom calls. We had a lot of meetings about what we want to do, who we want to be. And I think that our way stuck with us. And right away, it was just our thing. It was like, we're the one that put it on the jersey, and we're the one that has a meaning of it. So I think that made a big difference in that sense of building a culture, building a team, and everybody had a voice. It was just unbelievable. Literally, sometime like the bus was like still 20 minutes away. Everybody was ready. We really just sat in the dressing room and we just talked and laughed and just did anything stupid. But I just did a lot instead of just leaving the room and going on our phone, and like we just wanted to be with each other around the whole Olympic experience, and it was awesome.
Yeah. And like you kind of alluded to it, but like controlling the controllables, like controlling what you can control in preparation, because we all know once you get in that game, like anything can happen. It can hit the fan. You know, you could have an off day and you could be down, 3 goals. Those things, like that's part of the game. We can't always control that stuff, but knowing that going into it, you've done everything as a team to, build a really solid foundation so that if that happens, you're good. Like you guys you got each other's backs. You're good. The team, our way, your motto. Like, I think that speaks volume to the fact that you're like, hey, we're just going to focus on what we're doing. Make sure we're confident in our preparation, and the rest, will take care of itself. And at the end of the day, gold medal is, like you say, the cherry on top, but even walking away without one, because I've been on losing teams that were like that. And those are the teams I remember. Like, those are the teams that I look back and I'm like, man, we deserved better, but like those were formative teams that, changed who I was as a player and as a person.
Yeah. I think like the last 2 years, like control the controllables, like we didn't have much control over anything.
Yeah. I think it prepared you for
Yeah. And like our doc was a saint. Like she went through so much with the COVID and the protocols and everything. And the amount of work that's been put in like behind closed door with like Gina, the doc, and everybody around us was unbelievable. And for us, we're just showing up to the rink, and sometimes things were canceled, things were changed and schedule would change. But you know what? Like I feel we learned so much, and we're just focused on ourselves and take it with a smile.
Yeah, you had each other's back, and I liked what you said. Everyone had a voice and felt comfortable to be themselves too, and I think that makes the whole difference for sure.
Well, we're proud of you, and obviously scoring another big goal, not a big deal. You did it again at the rivalry game, the rivalry rematch. This has just become a staple. So
I'd like to go back to when you said, I was lucky in Vancouver, and then lucky in Sochi, and Pyeongchang or whatever. And then
you got like a 4-leaf clover or something. Yeah, this is a lot of luck repeating itself.
I wish I was that lucky, I guess. Oh no, but Pooh, we're really proud of you, and whatever, it speaks volumes of who you are and what you learned from your mentors, to allow maybe the youngsters this year to take those side conversations that we were talking about that mentors of yours did. And I'm sure you had an impact on those players. So well done. As a captain, you need to, take it. Don't say you had nothing to do with it. So make sure that we want to make sure you feel it, because we'll be the ones bragging for you if you're going to stay humble. You don't have to do anything. Just go like this. It's okay.
We'll just pump your tires.
You can cut all of this.
No, that's staying. That's staying.
Oh my gosh. So let's move into a little bit. We're kind of, in the last quarter of the episode, just want to get to know who you are away from the rink, because, as we said, you've done a bazillion interviews. I'm sure you've been on 1,000 TV shows, 1 million, appearances, and kissing babies, signing autographs, doing all this.
Tiring.
And we want to know who you are, away from the rink a little bit. So tell us first, maybe a little bit about your love. We learned about your maple syrup love, which is I love. That's perfect, because you're Canadian and there's just nothing better. But talk us through a little bit about, kind of your newfound passion for camping and RVing and how you spend your summers.
Oh, I love it. I don't know why after, I think Sochi, I was like, literally was like, I saw a nice, like, those Volkswagen, like old, like kind of camping truck. And I was like, I want that. And I want to go across Canada or whatever, US, and make a trip. And I told my mom, I was like, hey, maybe I want to buy that. And then she stopped right away. She was like, okay, did you try to find it? So we bought like a kind of an older one, the first one in 2015. And we used it. We went camping. Obviously, like when I was younger, our main trip of the summer would go camping and go to Old Orchard, like close to our place. And we were just as a family, like in a tent, like we were like camping in a tent. And then obviously buying that RV was a little bit more luxurious for
glamping.
Yeah. So we started like I would start camping with my parents, and I really enjoyed it. And obviously 2 or 3 years ago, we kind of upgraded to a bigger one and nicer one. And like it's mine, but I know like my parents are retired and they love camping as well. So they use it a little bit more because I'm a little bit more busy than them. But anytime I need it, like we either meet halfway and I take it. And obviously it's been great. Like last summer I went to Spooner's wedding. And with like Kaz and Laura, and we had a lot of fun, to be honest. And I don't think we told Spooner, like obviously like there was didn't have that much space in our cottage, and we told her like we can come if you want us to come, we'll come with our RV and we'll see the RV. You don't need to worry about us. And lucky enough, like we were able to go, and we showed up, and Adam and Spooner literally like, we didn't think it was going to be that big. Where are they going to park it? Anyway, we found a place, but it was just awesome. Like those little moments I love.
And then you just go on trips too. I mean, I know you're going to events with it and everything. And then, people sleep in those ones.
I love outside. I love just hanging outside by a fire, have a nice food, have a nice little drink, and just enjoy it. And now that we have Arlo, it's pretty awesome to just be able to bring him anywhere we want.
So Arlo is the new little golden retriever that was added to your life.
Yeah.
Pooh, let me ask you this. Have you ever had a dog before, Arlo? Like a family dog? Did you love dog before?
I did, but not as much, no. I didn't think I was going to like a dog like that, okay? I said
yeah. See, I love that. I love it. So you found a new little true love. I mean, dogs are the best. And then I'm sure you brought tons of joy. You got him during COVID, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's bringing you that little joy of like going outside and everything. And he is just the cutest.
You guys, did you miss him when you were
I was gonna ask,
obviously at the Olympics? Like, I feel like I would have separation anxiety.
Yeah, we did bring him for 2 months in Calgary. We were able to have him over, but then when things got busy, he stayed over at our parents. Like we were splitting in between, and it was fun. When we got back, it was the first thing we wanted was get back into our new house and have Arlo in it. So
that's so cute.
We don't deserve dogs. They're too good to us. I'm glad that Arlo was able to convert you into a dog lover. Yeah, I'm sure he brings you, both so much joy. So we'll just round out. Actually, I've got another good question for you. This might be a long one. Okay, so you've done a lot in your short 30 years, right? 30?
Yeah.
Just a young buck. Is there anything on your bucket list that you haven't done yet? Like if you could give 3 things on your bucket list and time, money is not an issue, what would they be?
Wow. Maybe I would like to jump of a plane, like
skydive.
Skydive, yeah.
Let's go.
That would be cool.
Okay.
Like a long trip in Greece, Italy. I think that's something that I would love to. And with that, I would add like, having a big villa somewhere where friends and family can come anytime they want. It's like, open door policy, and they can just
have it for a couple months and come down when you can be there and take off when you need to.
That's amazing.
I love that. Can't wait for my invite.
Seriously. I love this third bucket list. Should you say?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. I feel like, I feel like Greece and Italy would be like just so beautiful. And then the like winery and everything. I see what you're.
Yeah.
I see where you're going with that.
I watched the movie Mamma Mia.
You want to be there.
Yes.
You want to go to that little.
Yeah, very much so.
Me, it was Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. And I was like, oh, Greece is sweet. I'm going to meet some handsome man on a boat and he's going to whisk me away.
That really played a role for you.
Huge role, obviously, in my life.
Oh God, I love it.
Oh my gosh. Well, Pooh, honestly, we're rounding out. I wish you could stay for another hour. It was fantastic having you on. Appreciate you making time for us today.
That was great. Thanks, guys. You're very good at this.
You doubted us, eh? You did.
I would never doubt it.
We'll say hi to Danny, Pea, and Robert, that will be listening to this as well, too. They had a huge part in your life and stuff. So we salute them as well, too. Those are.
Yeah, we kind of skimmed over the family, but, as Kax is alluding to, obviously play a huge role in your life, just even in your stories there. And
yeah.
I'm sure that you guys will be having a good get together in the summer and they'll all be excited to see you and get the family back together again. So wish you happy celebrating and we'll stay posted. Thanks again so much for making time for us. We know you're busy, so we appreciate it very much.
Thank you guys. It was awesome.
The Knoxy and Kax Show on SDPN, produced in partnership with the PWHPA. Follow Knoxy and Kax on Twitter at 27Knoxy and at Karell Emard. The views expressed are those of the individuals and are not necessarily those of the PWHPA. Check out sdpn.ca for more Knoxy and Kax and the rest of the SDPN crew.
She scores!